Hello, Vince South Blessed here. And this video is just going to be me going over some of the questions that I didn't get to answer and maybe some of the ones that I did and add some more clarity for a talk that I did on Friday the 10th, 2023 at the Watershed Pervasive Media Studio. Now, the talk was called AI, the Good, the Bad, and the Edge. And I was exploring AI art, the contemporary artificial intelligences, a very brief history of like the semantics behind the words artificial intelligence and how we got to where we are now, and some of the more practical applications of the new applications that are out now. So this image that you can see in the background is part of the quote-unquote creative prompts that are shown on the video, and I will link the video in the description. So one of the questions that I got to answer at the time was, how can the average person incorporate AI in their day-to-day life, which I answered at the time. You can see that on the video. But what I didn't get to answer, or I didn't know that there was another question here, which is, and how can it be used with traditional art? Now, I'm so glad that you said this, because it's going to allow me to have like a little free flow stream of consciousness about something that I didn't get to speak on the talk. And this relates to part of the conversation, which was about the art and the theft. And I tried to stay away from this particular part because it was very much about my personal opinion and how I've chose to navigate what I call the transmedia landscape. So I consider myself a transmedia producer. And in terms of the question, how can it be used with traditional art? It's like that's where I feel like the real secrets and the real gems and everything is. I've put everything forward as if the idea is, well, because there is a lot of amazing things that you can do just with like the AI art stuff, just straight out, and effectively it be like majority done by the AI, but then you're putting the sprinkles on top, you're putting the icing. In reality, I really see the genius coming from the reverse. So this question here about how can it be used with traditional art, the actual answer is infinite ways. There's just so much that you can do, everything that you would want to do. So for example, just a very simple one that I haven't tried yet. And in fact, before I get into the examples, let me just say this and finish off the stream. Like I said in the talk, the people who were suing them guys, obviously they're the underdog. They're suing billionaires, or at least millionaires with £1 billion companies. I'm going to root for the underdog ultimately, but like I said in the talk, they don't really have a leg to stand on legally. But the actual process of creating art, you create art along the way, or at least specifically as a transmedia producer, is something that I focused on, is about the art that is created whilst you're creating the art. So the way that I've always looked at it is like kind of like how when you watch Sick Chefs, like every single piece of the food is going into another thing, because ultimately there's attackers behind everything in it. So it's going to take the lemon pills and boom boom bam over here, and that's making this juice and whatever. The same thing happens when you're doing art. Now, I definitely have over 10 terabytes, but it's definitely less than 20 terabytes of pure art, illustrations, stories, videos, animations. Now in the last 7 years, I've collected like coding projects. So this is like 20 years. I'd say solid. Okay. I registered the company in 2004. So yeah, coming on 20 years now. And that's like when I registered. I've been making stuff since I was 6. There's a reason why I haven't put all of this stuff out on the internet. And it's because I know that when it's on the internet, it's the internet. So the reason why I've taken so long to answer this question is because it's like I'm waiting for that moment to start mixing the AI with traditional art that I already have, or building it with other stuff, because there's just so much stuff that you can do with it. So specifically, right, what you can do is one example of what you could do with traditional art is you could use it for being able to get complicated colorways quickly. So, you know, if you were doing some sort of traditional art which needed like an outline or sketch or pre-production, you can then take those pre-production assets, put it through the AI, and get colors, moods, and tones, and, you know, bang out like 30 different ones in 30 minutes, and then have all of that variation in front of you, that not only hasn't been interpreted through somewhere else, so, you know, has someone else's emotions over the top of it, you can just get clean exactly what mood you want from it without an interpretation. It also is like getting creative, like a creative bounce off another person that obviously isn't a person, but it's still in terms of the amount that you can get out. I'm not going to say that it's better than bouncing off a human, but you can definitely like balance the scales with quantity and just get a load of different variations. So that's one way I would say working with traditional art. You can make something, put it through, get loads of different colors, moods, and tones, pick one, and then come back and finish it off with something, with a reference that was specifically made for what it is that you're making. In terms of video, I would say there's interesting things now. You could do something similar with edits. Now, I've always been quite particular with my edits, but I feel like I'm particular about particular points. So if you're the kind of person who's doing a lot of video work, you might want to look into some of the AIs that do editing for you, so that and then see, again, I've not tested, because I've not tested any of these. I don't know where it's at now, but, you know, you could potentially upscale the quality of your videos by allowing the basic edits to be done and get it out quicker. I don't think that's as good an example. So what have we done? Like pictures, video, other traditional arts. If you were doing some sort of a sculpturing, again, I think you could get some quite interesting references. There's a lot. Basically, there's a lot, and I've basically been researching this wave of AI since like November of last year. And like I said, I've been very specific about not historically uploading all my content onto the internet just for the sake, just to see, but also I'm also kind of specifically not putting my art into any of these AIs at the moment. Because for those of you who watch the talk, right now I'm not using personal edge AIs. Right now I'm using centralized cloud AIs such as Midjourney and ChatGPT. So I'm going to start exploring the personal edges as of now, and I will see what other experiments can be done. Segues nicely into the other question that was on there, which is, how do you mean people train their own edge AIs? So basically what I'm talking about is there are AI models which you have to then train yourself through doing following Python scripts and following instructions. And so even if at that moment you're just following the instructions, that would still count as you training the AI yourself on your personal edge. So that's the standard answer, that actually just by virtue of having the AI on your personal edge, that would mean that you would have had to train it yourself, probably. But then more specifically, it's like, then once you get it and you follow all the instructions and you train it how it says, you've got the AI, so you'll have the opportunity to train it in any other way. So as far as I'm aware, these stability products are actually made to be like this. So they're made so that they get the art to a certain level, and then you've got to upload your own art into it and then start refining the models and, you know, specify exactly what it is that is meant to be there. And, you know, the reason why I brought up the importance of this in the talk is because the biases that exist within AI are prevalent and they are obvious. But once you've got your personalized edge AI, the whole point is that you train the biases out of your AI, which are very easy to do. And, in what I'm planning to do is I'm not planning on having an unbiased AI. I'm planning on having AI biased towards exactly what it is that I want it to do. So if you're trying to get an exactly tuned AI that is completely balanced, that's a pretty hard task. But if you have your own personal agenda, i.e., say I might want an image-based AI that is specifically designed to do black characters, that off the bat is going to give people black noses and black hair and all that kind of stuff. So that is me creating an AI specifically towards my biases. So that's kind of like what I meant by train your own edge AI. And then it says the out-of-the-box solution is just humans doing their thing without the AI, right? Not quite, but basically the out-of-the-box solution still involves humans, because humans have to do a lot of labeling, and that's how the AI is able to communicate in a way that seems human. So this is specifically about ChatGPT, and in terms of, say, stability or mid-journey, theirs were tagged more in terms of what looked beautiful. So as the image ones are kind of, they have a human gearing it towards, like, it doesn't know what's beautiful. It just gets told loads of times with either like multiple choice or percentages, like, okay, this one was more beautiful, this one was more beautiful. And ChatGPT, the same. This one's more human, this one's more human. So it is kind of humans doing their thing with the mix. But as I kind of just described, I think that the out of the box solution, when you get it, will still be a personal edge, and it has had a lot of humans involved, but it's still an AI at that point, the out the box ones. But this is also I understand this question, because the reason why it gets complicated in this way is because of what's called the AI effect that I spoke about very briefly in the talk, which is that every single time people get used to an aspect of artificial intelligence, or a level is a milestone is hit, then people stop thinking of that particular thing as artificial intelligence. And so I understand this question, because this question makes sense if you forget that social media is just artificial intelligence. So it's kind of like asking, how would you have your own social media? Social media is just humans doing things without AI, right? Well, we all know, like, intrinsically, that social media as it stands right now is all about artificial intelligence. It's all about the algorithms, it's all about recommendations, and it's all about the same way that they tag artificial intelligence. That's what you're doing when you're liking, subscribing, sharing. They use that as the tags to then say, so yeah, if the art AIs are being tagged on how beautiful something is, and ChatGPT has been tagged on how human something is, then social media is being tagged on how engaging something is, how much interactions it can have. So most of our internet and computing experiences is off the back of artificial intelligence models, algorithms, and pattern recognition. So it's very hard to find anything that isn't AI. But like I said, the difference is this ability to have one that is on the personal edge. So that was just the couple of questions that I didn't manage to get to into the talk. If you haven't seen the talk, I will link it in the video below. If you have seen the talk, I appreciate you for watching it, and I appreciate you for coming down if you came down. And yeah, it was a optimistic message that I was given. I'm still full of excitement and optimism as it relates to what's going to be able to be achieved in, all parts of the world with this particular technology. But I also know that it's not something that is going to be positive without what we call in Bristol relentless optimism. So I am very aware of all the powers that be, and the influence that they already have on the current state of that particular industry. than it is actually theirs. And so my optimism is in completely new things happening, not in not a faith. I don't have faith in the owners. I have a vision of the technology. So with that being said, I hope that you're having a blessed day. Keep creating, and I hope that all is well for those around you and yourself, most importantly.